So I figured a couple people might be interested in Syria, since no foreign journalists are allowed in right now. I was there for a couple weeks and only saw, I think, 2 Australians. The tourists or backpackers, tourists, whatever you want to call them. They're scared to go as well. But I guess my second time entering the country, I had to shoot back into Turkey to get money because our banks won't work together. It's whatever, it's ridiculous. I think anything that's big, banks, government, breasts, whatever, they always just cause problems. But anyway, shot back into Turkey, got money, and arrived back in, where was I? Yeah, Latakia. Got into Latakia, and for some reason I just didn't think to read the news that morning, and that was Syria's first day of rage. And I got out, and within about 5 minutes, walking into this city, just trying to find my way, there's some gunshots, and I've heard enough of that where it's no big deal. And so I just kind of keep walking, don't even look. But then I did notice people start to scatter a little bit, hiding, around corners, peeking around the sides of buildings and stuff. And so I've heard a lot of gunfire, but that was different. But still pretty relaxed, and I don't know why. Just I guess I was still sleepy or something, and I took this long road from the western part of the city to the eastern part of the city looking for a hotel, and I noticed there's nobody. Everything's closed. There's nobody on the streets, and again some gunshots, but it just didn't register. And then so I'm getting towards the end of the street. There's about 10-15 soldiers on one side, 10-15 soldiers on the other side on these corners, and of course they're armed to the teeth. And here I come with my long hair and my backpack, and just relaxed and just checking out the city, not knowing exactly what's going on. And kind of cross the street a little bit, and a guy comes up, puts his gun up to my heart, and I just kind of salam and kept walking right past him, and that seems to work. And then turn the corner, there's another 15, and they just they did. What'd they do? They did this, which I assume is like come, but in many parts of this world it changes country to country, region to region. But what I found, this means this, go away. Don't come this way. And so I turn around, and then there's another 4th section of 10-15 soldiers, blah blah blah, and then they're telling me to do this, which means that, and I'm just kind of back and forth, and then eventually I'm grabbed and just asked a couple questions like, what are you doing? And then I'm just kind of pulled into this mad day of protesting and fighting, and a lot of confusion. But yeah, they took me past a wall of volunteers or local thugs, who knows, and they all had their batons and batons, just big old sticks to whoop ass with, and went through there, and they took me to the top of the city center, which is really elevated. There's a statue of Assad Sr., and I think the main reason they gathered there is because it was a perfect place for a protest, and they wanted to protect the statue. But most of the people getting killed in Syria, they're getting there are tanks and they're shelling and stuff, but most of the people that are getting killed are from snipers. And so I thought it was just a fucking horrible place to take me to this elevated spot right in the middle of where the action's supposed to be. And there's about 6 roads leaving the city center, and there's soldiers watching every road, and you hear gunshots. It was mostly coming from where I'd walked from. That's probably why they were most suspicious of me, but they were watching every road like they didn't know where it was going to come from. They didn't know if 10,000 protesters with weapons or whatever, Molotov cocktails, all that stuff, if they're going to come from, they had no idea what was going to happen. And so they'd look down the street, they'd look behind them, they're looking all around. But eventually I'm taken to another group of head guys and interviewed about 4 times. Same questions, passport, what are you doing? They look through my camera, and I'd switched out my memory cards. Of course, it's kind of the basics of going to places like this. And you just put on your innocent face and act as relaxed as you can. And but they're pretty cool about it. Once they see that you're relaxed, they're relaxed, and they crack their jokes like, "Welcome to Syria," and I heard that about 8 times within 30 minutes. And they also were picking on me because I was looking up on the roof for snipers, and they'd see me do that, and they pick on me, but I think they were just trying to act tough because a couple times some shots got really close, and from both sides of us, from the west and the east on the other side, and they jumped, and I was cool, and then it was, yeah, and then they jumped like big time, like got up and started, you know, trotting somewhere, and then I got up after they did, but then that made them seem calmer, and they started making fun of me. It's like a game of you know, who's got the bigger balls, you know, who's got the steadier nerves, and I was part of it too, I'll admit. I was, you know, trying to prove myself a little bit. So I don't know, interviewed by a bunch of people, eventually taken to the police station. They're like, where do you want to go? And I'd answered this question 10 times already. I said hotel, I named a hotel, and then eventually I figured out it was right in the middle of the action, the hotel, and I saw the sign and I pointed towards it, and they kind of gave me a funny look, and they're like, no, that's closed, and there was some little, you know, pockets of bullet holes on the hotel and stuff like that. Eventually I was escorted a little bit out of this city center, this square, and what's funny is a lot of old people, they're just kind of sipping chai, like kind of waiting for the action. It made me think of the stories I read about the Civil War, how rich people would set up you know, a picnic on this hill above these battlegrounds and watch. And then, I don't know how they would react when the battle started. I can't imagine that it turned out like they thought. But blah blah blah, you know, no big deal for me, and I'm trying to like get away from this kindness and this you know, they're so overprotective in Syria. I mean, they're famous for their you know, just how friendly they are in Syria, but it gets annoying. It does, especially when you want to see some action, and so I kept leaving, and they wanted to talk about how to market their new hotel better and all this stuff, and I'm just trying to escape all the time to get to the corners, to peek around with the locals, you know, to look for some action. And I mean, you know, you got gunfire going on for hours, so how can you just sit there and talk marketing? And so anyway, it was, you know, you try to ask them questions, but they don't know who I am. I could be anybody, even the way I look. They're still very, you know, distrustful. Spies are the #1 source of information for Assad's government, and yeah, and so it's hard to get them to talk, and you feel guilty if you keep prodding them. So it's hard to figure out exactly what happened that day or what people think, and I guess they were saying that they think that this is just the beginning, it's going to increase, and at this point, the day of rage at this point was 12 days ago when I was there in Latakia, but I think Assad's got to crack down, you know, lockdown, but so yeah, but it's just nuts because nobody seems to know what's going on, and you're not sure how they're organized. The protesters and then the military, they have full permission to use all kinds of force. It's not like Egypt. I mean, this is, you know, these are, it's a much more violent situation, and they can do whatever they want. But yeah, but it's just this sense of confusion and big motherfuckers with weapons, and it's just, that's not a good situation at all. And you know, when it's spreading from city to city, it seems like Homs and then some suburbs of Damascus, definitely Dara, you know, is where it's hot, but then it, you know, it's slipping into Aleppo off and on, and then places like Latakia, the coast, Banias, places like Hama, which is a very nice town. It's the protesters slipping in, you know, building up steam there, and then the tanks will move in or whatever. People will get scared, as they should be. And so it's a lot of confusion going on there, but I think, and there are rumors of weapons coming in from Iraq, which that of course takes time. All this action is going on in the east, the west, and then the east, it's nothing really is going on, and so the weapons, you know, they're coming in from Iraq, and it's taking them a while to get into these cities, so who knows what's going to happen eventually, but my opinion is Syria is going to stay status quo for the time being, and you know, people are going to lose their lives, and it's not all for naught, because they're, you know, they're standing up for what I think is a righteous cause. I don't know everything about the politics, I'm not Syrian, but at least they're making some kind of statement, and Assad has made some moves to, you know, allowing some more freedoms, and But he's going to stay in power. I think that's what he cares about most. And then he's got his brother, who's head of half the army, and it's a family thing. You'll find this a lot in the Middle East. If you want to talk about Libya, it's a whole tribal thing. It's tribes and families sticking together and picking sides. It's hardly politics. And so, yeah, everybody's still pretty calm, and it's very unlike you would find violence in, let's say, the Americas or Africa, where there seems to be the violence would come from greed or it doesn't even make sense. It's just wild men, especially in the Americas, where we're descendants of just wild men, and there's just no sense to it. But it's a very kind of organized, disciplined violence and protesting, and in the Middle East, which is in a strange way, comforting, because they'll have their prayers, and then and everybody kind of knows when stuff's about to go down. So if you don't want to be a part of it, just hole up. Or if you want to be a part of it, you have your time. But definitely not during prayer. Usually it's after morning prayers, and then afternoon prayers. It all stops, and then everybody's out, and you might get on the internet at a cafe and talk about what you've seen or something like that, and have a shawarma, a little sandwich, and they're doing their best to organize. There's centers, bases in Beirut, right next door to Syria, and people are trying to shoot information to them and organize that way, but it's very difficult. We'll see about Syria. It's real difficult. I just read an Al Jazeera reporter. She dropped into Damascus, and within a few hours she disappeared. So of course people are always asking me if I'm a journalist, and they're scared to death of that. It's all about information. I was, questioned and reprimanded by the military for taking pictures with some kids. It's all about controlling the information, and then they feel like they can do whatever they want. And so it's the battle. We need to get more people in there, and I'm proud of the people that are in Syria doing the best they can to get out any information. But pretty tense. And I should mention that after that day, the day of rage, where all this madness, I think 12 people were killed in Latakia, maybe 100 across the country. The next day I spent 45 minutes drinking some tea with a soldier, but he was in plain clothes that day, but he was saying, I have to do my 1 year required military service, and if it wasn't my 1 year, I would be on the other side. And so you can't imagine these soldiers getting too out of hand and just wiping people out because they're friends. They know each other. If a soldier kills somebody, there's a good chance that family knows that soldier and his family, and they're going to go kill his parents or his kids or his wife or something. When you get too big, you get disconnected from that, and it's all about controlling, and you just kind of see little ants running around, like everybody that works in finance in the States. They see us as little ants to funnel this way and that, and they can get rich off of, and we aren't really important. Just like how, financial guys in New York will look at a middle-class guy in South Carolina that way, and a middle-class guy or woman in South Carolina will see some, incredibly poor kid in Somalia. We'll just see him as a worthless, ignorant ant, and just go down it's the mentality of people. So anyway, I think Syria is something to watch though in the coming months, because it's not going to be like Egypt. It's going to be a much tougher battle, and I think we should watch it closely and keep the international community, keep the pressure on Assad, and not let him get away with what he's been up to the past few weeks here. But I'm in Italy now, so for another week, and then back to North Africa. So, but I'm good now. So I got it made, and just everybody keep thinking about those people, Syria, Iraq, protests are going to rise up in Cairo, Libya, blah blah blah. It's a lot of brave people looking for Harriya, freedom, and if you're American, it's about the easiest thing you can relate to. So there's a little update. I don't know, that might explain a few things.